Spain. For most people, it means sunshine, flamenco, football, and endless beaches. But behind this tourist postcard lies a harsh geopolitical reality. In 2026, Spain found itself at a unique crossroads, caught between pressure from its longtime ally, the United States, its own economic rise, and internal contradictions threatening to tear the country apart. Hello, this is Geopolitical Chronicles. While Europe braces for recession, Spain has surged ahead of everyone else. GDP growth reached 2.8%. Unemployment fell below 10% for the first time in 18 years, and the number of foreign tourists hit a new record. Today, we'll break down the geopolitics of Spain, its strength, its vulnerabilities, and why its decisions are increasingly shaping the future of European security. A country's geopolitics are not determined by a single point, but by the totality of its geography. Spain has 6 major geopolitical axes, each bringing both advantages and vulnerabilities. The south is classic geopolitics. The Strait of Gibraltar, only 14 kilometers wide, carries nearly a third of global maritime trade. Here lies the Rota Naval Base, a key hub for American missile defense destroyers, and Moron Air Base, used for rapid U.S. force deployment into Africa. This makes Spain an indispensable Pentagon ally in the region. But the south also hosts Spain's biggest territorial dispute, British Gibraltar. The strategic location of this rocky outcrop and sandy isthmus allows control over the entire strait and access to the Mediterranean. Spain has spent 3 centuries disputing Gibraltar's sovereignty. Only with the 2025 and 2026 agreements between the European Union and the United Kingdom did Madrid secure concessions from London. Gibraltar Airport is now moving under joint management. A new customs regime is being established, security cooperation is expanding, and movement without passport barriers is becoming possible. It's not just the strait. Spain has a land border with Africa, the enclaves of Ceuta and Melilla, plus several tiny rocky outposts like Peñón de Vélez de la Gomera. These are the only land borders between the European Union and Morocco. They are magnets for migration pressure and leverage in Madrid's dialogue with Rabat, which has never recognized Spanish sovereignty over them. Farther into the Atlantic lie the Canary Islands. These are not merely a tourist paradise, but a strategic outpost controlling maritime routes along West Africa and transatlantic corridors. The waters around the Canaries are also part of a dispute with Morocco over Western Sahara, increasing tensions and forcing Madrid to dedicate major resources to maintaining control. Spain's Mediterranean coast has traditionally been a tourism magnet, but today it functions more as Europe's geo-economic hub. The ports of Valencia, Barcelona, and Algeciras connect Europe with North Africa and the Middle East. Energy corridors pass through here as well. The Medgaz pipeline from Algeria directly supplies Spain with gas and is strategically important for Brussels. The Balearic Islands serve as a platform for controlling the Western Mediterranean. Their airfields and ports enable force projection in case of destabilization in the Maghreb. But they are also a destination for illegal migration, creating constant pressure on local authorities and the European Union. Because of their distance from Africa and the Mediterranean, Spain's north and west are often overlooked. Unfairly so. Galicia is Spain's window to the Atlantic, historically home to a powerful fishing fleet still engaged in disputes over fishing zones. The ports of Bilbao and Santander sustain trade with the Americas. This maritime facade gives Spain the status of a naval power not only in the south, but across the Atlantic theater. A significant portion of liquefied natural gas enters Spain through northern ports. Spain hosts 6 of the European Union's 7 LNG terminals, turning it into a key gas distributor for Europe. The Pyrenees are both a natural fortress and a barrier. There are only a few land crossings, making them strategically vital for NATO. In a crisis, troops and equipment from the United States move through Spain into Europe. At the same time, Spain's historical weakness is energy isolation. Electricity and gas interconnectors with France remain underdeveloped, turning Spain into an energy island during any European crisis. Nearby lies another unique political geography, the Basque Country, with its industrial strength and memory of separatism. Though violence has faded, Basque autonomy ambitions and financial arrangements still influence Spain's internal stability. At the center lies Madrid, the imperial capital chosen in the 16th century for its central location. But surrounding it is the so-called empty Spain, vast territories with population densities lower than those of Lapland forests. This is a demographic time bomb. Too few people to sustain the military, infrastructure, or local economies. Madrid has effectively drained human resources from surrounding regions. Then comes water stress. Rivers like the Tagus and Ebro redistribute water between regions, sparking political conflicts between drought-stricken southern provinces and northern donor regions. In an era of climate change, control over water resources is becoming a dangerous internal issue. So Spain is far more than just a strait and military bases. It is 6 intersecting geographic axes, each producing its own challenges. From negotiations with Morocco to energy logistics, from separatism to demographic decline. And now, with the full picture in mind, we can understand why Spain's economic growth is so fragile, and why its maneuvering inside NATO is so ambiguous. One might think that with such geopolitical advantages and massive tourism flows, Spain's economy should be a titan. But here lies the first paradox, one Donald Trump pointed out in April 2026 when he called Spain's economic situation terrible. Formally, the numbers suggest the opposite. Spain's GDP grew by 2.9% in 2025, significantly above the Eurozone average. Unemployment fell to its lowest level since 2008. So, where is the problem? The problem lies in the quality of that growth. It is heavily dependent on domestic consumption, tourism, and migration inflows. Spain's miracle rests on 3 pillars: tourism, services, and construction. 13% of all jobs in Spain are tied to tourism. In 2025, 97 million foreign visitors spent 135 billion euros in the country, yet labor productivity remains among the lowest in the EU. Forecasts for 2026-2027 are already less optimistic. Growth is expected to slow to 2.2%, then 1.8%. Spain's economy is growing, but not in the kind of healthy, strategic way that allows a nation to accumulate reserves for geopolitical maneuvering. Now let's move to the most interesting part: Spain's economic trump card, energy. Spain has no major gas reserves of its own, yet it has become the energy hub of the old world. 6 liquefied natural gas terminals operate along the Spanish coast, in Barcelona, Cartagena, Bilbao, Huelva, Sagunto, and the Canary Islands. Together, they account for 1/3 of the European Union's total regasification capacity and 44% of all LNG storage capacity. In 2025, nearly 40 billion cubic meters of LNG passed through Spanish ports. That covered around 15% of Europe's gas deficit. While Germany and France search for alternatives to Russian energy resources, Spain imports liquefied natural gas from the United States and Qatar. At the same time, Madrid is playing a double game. Officially, Spain is among the countries demanding sanctions against Russian LNG. But in reality, throughout 2024 and the first half of 2025, Spain remained the largest importer of Russian LNG in Europe, accounting for up to 20-25% of total imports. Despite plans to completely phase out Russian LNG by 2027, Madrid actually increased imports in April 2026. Spain is deliberately expanding the transshipment of Russian gas in order to resell it to other EU countries at a higher price. But Spain's biggest problem as a gas hub is the lack of infrastructure, specifically direct pipelines into Central Europe. The connection with France through the Pyrenees exists, but its capacity is limited. Physically, it is impossible to transfer more than 7 billion cubic meters of gas per year, a drop in the ocean. As a result, most of the LNG arriving in Spain is either consumed domestically or loaded back onto tankers and shipped by sea to northern Europe. This process is expensive and inefficient. That is why Madrid's real bet is not on gas, but on green hydrogen. Spain plans to build H2Med, an underwater pipeline connecting Barcelona to Marseille and eventually Germany. The project is valued at 2.5 billion euros. The European Union has already approved 400 million euros in funding for the first stages. The plans are ambitious. By 2030, Spain wants to produce 221,000 tons of renewable hydrogen annually, supported by 345 megawatts of electrolysis capacity. The country's solar and wind resources are ideal for this. Spain ranks second in Europe in installed wind capacity and first in the number of sunny days. Energy giants such as Repsol and Iberdrola have already invested tens of billions into hydrogen projects. They are receiving subsidies from the EU's Next Generation EU Fund. Spain has been allocated 70 billion euros in grants and another 70 billion in loans for the green transition. But geopolitical risks remain. Spain's main gas partner in recent years has been Algeria. Around 8-10 billion cubic meters of gas per year flow through the Medgas pipeline beneath the Mediterranean Sea. Relations between Madrid and Algiers deteriorated after Spain supported Morocco's autonomy plan for Western Sahara. Algeria even threatened to revise existing contracts. In the end, Spain's energy policy today resembles an obstacle race. Madrid must simultaneously satisfy Brussels, avoid alienating Algeria, replace Russian gas, maintain good relations with the United States, build a hydrogen corridor, and convince both Germany and France to support it. Spain's strongest advantage, of course, is that it remains part of a European Union eager to free itself from external hydrocarbon dependence. But how long this window of opportunity will remain open is still an unanswered question. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. The continuation is coming soon.